Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout as we look ahead to Fantasy Premier League Game Week 30 and introduce a new game from the official website. It's called FPL Challenge and it launched this week. My name is Joe and what we'll do is look in detail at the game. I've also got a draft team together for that challenge, plus a look at how the rules can be used for engaged managers' advantage. So this is a very good game that is designed for sort of all levels of managers, but obviously those perhaps might be more used to watching Fantasy Football Scout videos and reading our articles. You might be a bit more engaged. So there's a way we can use the rules to hopefully get an advantage and win the game, maybe win some lovely prizes. But before we do that, I just wanted to remind people, do press that like button and also do subscribe as well so you can keep up to date with all our latest videos and podcasts. Also check out membership offers at fantasyfootballscout.co.uk. Okay, this is a new game. It's weekly. You can make changes during the week. There are caveats to that too. And each week you get a special challenge. There are other notable rule changes as well. And so what I'll do is I'll look at we do know what the challenge is for Game Week 30. We also know what Game Week 31 and 32 are. So let's have a look in detail then. Okay, let's have a look at some of the basic rules then. So new game. And you pick a new squad each week, and it's entirely separate. So it's within the official FPL Fantasy Premier League game website, but it's entirely separate from the game that we play each week for 38 game weeks. And your scores are reset at 0 at the start of each game week as well. So you can, in theory, anyone can win it each week as well. So you've got a chance of winning some prizes. You can set up mini leagues as well. So you can go for mini league glory as well. And you can be the world number one for that particular week in that challenge. The challenge in Game Week 30 is, well, it's a nice challenge. You've got an unlimited budget. So you can build your dream squad. So if you've ever thought of having, for example, Haaland, Salah, De Bruyne, Son, Van Dijk, Trippier, Alexander-Arnold. If you wanted all of those players in, you can. It does not matter. You're not restricted to 100 million as well. And I've got a draft together for Game Week 30. It's obviously well over. It's well over what I've got at the moment. I think my actual team value is about 105 million, and it's way over that. I think it's somewhere like 112 or 13 or something I've spent there. So that's what you can do there. There are other changes though. So we've established what that is. You can pick up to 5 players, not 3 players, 5 players. So that means you can really steam in on a team that's got a favourable fixture. So, a team that's really poor on form, facing relegation, absolutely going nowhere. And the top side, Arsenal, are playing them, something like that. You can really steam into them. So it allows you to really load up on those attacking sides against weak defences, and you can pretty much target maybe 3 matches. That's it, really, and just have a goalkeeper from somewhere else. And the deadlines for entering are also different, and this is key. So this gives managers a number of opportunities to join throughout the game week. And the later deadlines also means you can be informed of your decision making, it says. So obviously at the moment in the main game, say for example, of 12:30 kickoff on a Saturday, the deadline's 11 o'clock. So you've got to go through an hour and a half of waiting for the match to start. You've also got to go for half an hour or so of finding out the actual team sheets, which are released an hour before kickoff. So you'll be able to see the lineups before changes. But there are other changes around the deadlines as well that are quite notable. So as I said, that sort of explains what happens here. So for an example, Game Week 30, Newcastle United against West Ham United. They face each other. They kick off at 12:30. You can pick your team right up until then. So the normal deadline is 11 o'clock. You can also join any time with fewer players to choose from. So, for example, if you want to join on the Sunday, you can join the game. You just can't pick any players that played on the Saturday because they've already played. So you can't pick players and say, "Oh, they've got a hat trick. I'll pick them." You can't do that. So you can you're limited, and it keeps going on until there's a minimum of 2 matches remaining when managers can enter their team. So you can obviously pick. You've got 4 teams to choose from if there's 2 matches going on. So you can get a credible side out, and who knows, that side could win it. You never know if it's a goal fest, for example. and lots of defenders score. There are other changes too. So in FPL Challenge, you can create a squad for a game week, provided that there's at least 3 Premier League clubs haven't played yet. So we know that. But also changes to your team, e.g. sort of starting team, transfers and captain change can still be made at any time during the game week. But once a players club has started the first match, they'll be locked from any changes. So what that means is that you can, as far as I can do this, you will be able to make changes within the game week, so each match day, but you can't do that once a player's club has played. So for example, if you've played Isak at Newcastle and he blanks, you can't do anything about that. That's locked in your starting 11. You can't make any changes to that. Okay, so that's interesting. That's interesting, I think, because I think, I mean, okay, this is my team I've got here. This is the team that I have got from there. And what I've got, now hold that thought with the deadline, with those deadlines, because there is a sort of a cheeky, well, I suppose it's cheeky, but there's a way sort of around that. You can use the rules perhaps to your advantage, but it comes with a lot of risk. So it's probably not something I'm going to do, but it could be quite interesting. It could be quite fun. It's just another layer to the game. Okay, so this is the team I have got so far. So you can see with the fixtures here for this particular challenge, I really like Spurs game at home to Luton. I like Newcastle's game as well, home to West Ham. I think some of those players do particularly well at home. I like Liverpool's fixture a lot. Against Brighton, Salah looks good, and Chelsea's fixture at home to Burnley, and it's very hard with an unlimited budget to go without Erling Haaland, although he does face Arsenal, so that is a good decision to make. As you can see, because you've got unlimited budget, you can have all sorts. So I've got Watkins, Richarlison on my bench. They might come into the side. I might go a little less Spurs heavy in defence, maybe not have 4-4-2. So I've got a 4-4-2 structure at the moment here. But what I'm doing is really just showing the sort of team you can have. So those listening on the audio version, you can have. I've got Petrovic, Cher, Pedro Porro, Gusto, and Udogie in a 4-4-2 with Salah, Son, Palmer, Gordon. Just so happens this week that Palmer and Gordon are pretty cheap and good fixtures. Isak, Haaland up front, and then a mighty bench with Leno, Watkins, Richarlison, and Robinson from Fulham as well. Quite like Fulham's fixture away to Sheffield United. That has spent a grand total of 100. I'm trying to do my maths here. 107. So it's well over my actual current budget. I mean, I obviously could spend more, but it just so happens that this week players like Palmer and Gordon have actually really good fixtures. I've got another team. Okay. So this is based on the certain changes that can be made. So you can make changes each day within the game week to your 11 as well. Okay, so it's quite complicated, this, and I think I've understood it right, but because I'm not 100%, and it comes with risk. So what I've got here, and I'll try and explain this for the benefit of those listening to the podcast version. What I've done is I've got players that play early on my bench. So what can happen is your bench players at the end of the game week, totally the end of it, if your player hasn't played in your main 11, then as with the normal FPL game, those subs come in. So I've got a bench of Petrovic, plays Burnley early on. I've got Isak, Gordon and Cher for Newcastle, who play West Ham early on. The reason I've got them there is because in my actual team, I've got, so there's those 4 players on the bench. I'm pretty certain they're going to play and start, and they could do really well, but they might blank. We all know with game week 29 what can happen with the rulebook. It can be thrown out and the unexpected can happen. So in my 11, I've got 4 players that blank. And I say they blank because they're injured, and they're very long-term injured, and they're not coming back. And this is the risk. They might suddenly come back. So I've got Becker. He's not going to play. I've got Alexander-Arnold. He's not going to play, as far as I know at the moment. Diogo Jota, not going to play, injured. Martial at Manchester United. So I've got those 4 players there. I've also got, meanwhile, lots of good players that play. I've got Salah, Son, Palmer, Haaland, Gusto, Doggy, and Pedro Porro. With those 4 players who don't play, they are non-playing players that play right at the end. So the fact that they're not playing will not be discounted early on. It's later. So what can happen is that, say, for example, we have that first game, Newcastle, West Ham, and Newcastle win 5-0. Isak, Gordon, Cher, they all score. They all do really well. There's a clean sheet as well. Petrovic gets his clean sheet, maybe gets a penalty save. So there's an absolutely huge score on my bench there. What I do then is I don't move Becker, Alexander-Arnold, Jota and Martial. I just leave them there because these 4 players here will come into the team because they're not playing. Those Liverpool players playing later on, they're not going to play. So by the end of the game week, suddenly these bench players come into the team. But what happens if they blank? So Isak, Gordon, Cher, Petrovic, West Ham get the better of them. It's 1-0, Bowen goal, absolutely blank for all of those 4. Well, what I can do then is I can just leave them. And I can replace Becker, Alexander-Arnold, Jota and Martial perhaps on the Sunday morning or the Saturday night. I can do that because they haven't played yet. And so it's before that deadline for them. So there's a way around it as well. There's an additional way around it as well you can do with the captaincy as well. So I've got the captaincy on Salah at the moment. But say I put the captaincy on Martial, not going to play. And I put the vice captain on Son. Now you can change your captain as well. But as long as you can change it to a player that hasn't played yet. So Son is my vice captain. Say he gets like 4 goals, gets like an unprecedented score against home to Luton. Could happen. Then I keep the captaincy on Martial because at the end of the game week, Martial won't play. So my vice captain will come into his element there and Son will come in. But say Son blanks or maybe just gets 6 points there. Well, then I can switch the captaincy there to probably Salah would be the main one. So I'll be back to him as well. So you run a risk there because no matter what Son gets, Salah could get even more. So this all comes with risk as well. So I'm not sure I'm going to do this, but I just wanted to lay it out there just because there's different levels in the game that you can play, I think, which are quite interesting. Okay, let's have a look at the next challenges. Okay. So this is a game week 31. It's called Forward Focus. So yeah, the sub rule one I've just shown here. I probably wouldn't do it for any of the others, but I think for that particular game week it might work. But I'll probably just steam in on the teams and just keep it nice and simple. But game week 31, this is where it's a game week to go big up front. So all forwards score double points. So if you captain one of your forwards, they get quadruple points. So all your forwards are captains, and then some, and then you can captain your captain, so you get quadruple points. So this is going to lift suddenly, as they say in the game, the appeal of a 3-4-3 formation too, right? So you're going to want to play 3 forwards. You're going to want them to be absolutely nailed on. You want them to be hugely prolific. And so looking at that game, say Haaland, home to Villa, you can look at those sorts of players. So who has got a good fixture and really go for them. So that could be absolutely huge. Bearing in mind with that one, a lot of people are going to go for familiar names. I mentioned Haaland there as well. So game week 31, you might want to go for perhaps another. I'm just going to quickly look at the fixtures to remind myself. Game week 31. So, for example, Isak home to Everton could be really good. Chris Wood at home to Fulham could be good. Mateta away to Bournemouth. You never know. Could be one of the best strikers that game week as well. Maybe Nketiah is going to get a start for Arsenal. You never know. I hope it's unlikely, but he's at home to Luton. So you're going to need to probably make some differential picks there. Meanwhile, game week 32, this is interesting. This focuses on Jurgen Klopp's final visit to Old Trafford. So all players from Liverpool, Manchester United will earn double points. So you can get 5 players from each. So you're going to go for 10 players and you're going to want them all to start, I think. And you can really steamroll on them. So you can get 10 captains, basically. So that's what I would do. Just go absolutely crazy on those players there. That also comes with a risk because you're going to be missing out on game week 32, for example, Man City away to Crystal Palace. So if Haaland goes off and lots of people have him there, you're not going to do so well that week as well. Palmer for Chelsea's away to Sheffield United, you might be missing out there. Maybe you get him in. So there's decisions to be made there, but each one is a really interesting challenge, I think. And I think the unlimited budget, that's a really good way to kick this game off, I think. Because it's a nice, simple challenge as well. Even though I have explained away, you can make it more complicated, but I'm not really about making things that complicated. So I probably won't do that myself. But good luck with the game. As I said at the beginning, do press that like button, really helps us out. Also, do remember to subscribe to keep up to date with our videos and podcasts. Enjoy FPL Challenge. Looks fun. See you soon.